Many students are dusting off their books and book bags, getting ready for the new school year. While some students have been in class learning all summer, and they didn't have to go to summer school, they have been attending what's called year-round schooling. Before you can form an opinion on whether you're in favor of year-round school or not, you must know the facts.
Our educational system in the United States follows the traditional 9-month calendar. Currently, there is debate over whether we should adapt a year-round educational program. In order to make an informed decision, it is imperative to understand the issues surrounding the controversy. First and foremost, we must know what it means to have year-round school.
You just distribute the vacation time differently and spread school out over a year period, and you have your breaks at different points in time.
You would go the same number of days. We go 183 days a year. You go the same number of days, but they would be consecutive. So instead of going the long summer, you would go 4 days a week. You'd have off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And every 10 weeks, you'd have a 2-week break. So that means like Christmas, you'd have 2 weeks. 4th of July, you'd have 2 weeks. Easter, you'd have 2 weeks. So the families, that's when your break would be.
Supporters of year-round school sometimes argue that research reflects an increase in student performance and test scores. In 1994, the National Education Commission on Time and Learning argued that a departure from the traditional school calendar could better meet the needs of contemporary society and result in increased student achievement.
Well, obviously, the obvious benefit would be that of, you'd have more time on task. If you added, especially if you went to the format where you added the additional days, you'd have, tremendous, you could probably add up to another 20, 30, 40 days. If you have 20, 30, or 40 more days to do anything, obviously outcomes should be better, and you should be able to probably advance a little bit further than you currently do.
Some of the obvious benefits of having school year-round would be less review. You wouldn't have to have 3 months off and then come back and review to try and make up for lost information, which would enable you to get further into your curriculum because you would not have to go back and do as much review.
The advantages to that would be that a lot of students, especially elementary students, when they leave school in the summer, they don't see a book until they come back. Okay? And even high school students, your first month, it has to be review for everybody. So if you had a consecutive system where they were only off 2 weeks, you could continue to grow. The younger children, their reading would be better, their math would be better, and they'd relearn all kind of stuff as they went. It wouldn't cost the state any more money because you'd be paying the teachers the same amount, they're working the same number of days. Also, it would give families a chance, instead of having that giant summer, a lot of people can't get the summer off, so they can't go anywhere, do anything with their families. If it's every 2 weeks, every 10 weeks, it gives you more opportunity to be with your family, maybe go see family members in other places, go on vacation or something like that. Other benefits, as I said, the main thing would be is just consistency. Everybody's always looking for a way to improve schooling, and every time they do studies, well, it costs too much. It costs too much. This would not cost any more money. It would cost the same amount because it's always been, well, we're going to increase the number of days. Well, if you increase the number of days, you're going to have to pay your employees more money. So what happens is teachers are basically paid. They're paid for 183 days of work. Okay, and then they don't take all their money. They get their money over the summer. So they take less checks during the year, and then they get paid over the summer. Everybody says, "Oh, you get paid in the summer." Well, that's money you already made. And like I said, the consistency, especially for the young child. A lot of families have 4 or 5 kids. They don't have time to sit down and read with their children. So if a child, if he's in 1st and 2nd grade, he's just learning ABCs, he's just learning to read, or she's just learning to read, they don't see a book for 3 months. They come back to the elementary, and you're starting back at square one about every year. And the other thing is, in a 4-day week, if you think about it, a 4-day week, the students wouldn't get burnt out. You go 4 days, you have 3 days off every week. So you'd have less absenteeism. People would be in school. Same thing with teachers. They work in 4 days. You work 4 days. You work hard for 4 days. You set up your assignments so that you usually end at the end of the week. Say you have tests at the end of the week or whatever. You have 3 days to get that work graded, get it back to the students the next Monday, and you're up and running.
Opponents of year-round schooling would argue there really isn't more learning time in the class. It's just vacation days are distributed more evenly throughout the calendar.
Some of the disadvantages of having school year-round is obviously that long break for mental health, students away from teachers, teachers away from students. Family vacations, a lot of people take big family vacations during the summer months. one of the students referred to it as being different from a college schedule where you do have big blocks of time where you're off, as opposed if we changed it. Other disadvantages would be the social aspect, that you could relax with your friends, enjoy the summer months. If your building's not equipped for air conditioning, I know that some of the classrooms here are not air conditioned, and even in May, late May, it gets very hot and it's very hard to concentrate. It is kids getting summer jobs. A lot of kids need that time to go back to work to save for college.
Well, disadvantages would be is maintenance and upkeep of your buildings. Now I don't think a lot of people realize how much our custodial staff and maintenance staff do during the summertime as far as kind of restoring and refurbishing of buildings. When you have as many kids as we do in a building, or any school district does, it has its wear and tear on the facilities. And this allows us time to do anything from the mechanical things to the cosmetic things like painting, and just simple things just like cleaning. Oh, the financial would be huge especially if we went to where you kept the current configuration of the year and just added days. It would be a big number. I don't know exactly what that number would be. It'd be largely dependent upon the number of days you added.
The disadvantage would be this: the state would have to update. Obviously, they'd have to put air conditioning in Madison High School. That would be initial cost, because there's no way you could go to school here in July. Okay, this room, yes, but over there, no. Okay, so there would be some updates. You would have to put air conditioning in all school systems. Okay, the other disadvantage would be you would get a strong lobby from people in the state that use students as summer employees. Okay, because like a Cedar Point or a place like that, and Ohio makes a lot of its money in the summer, like Cedar Point and places like that, and Geneva on the Lake, because that's the rush. Now, all of a sudden, you don't have all that. So I think that the big difference would be the cost to get the schools modernized for air conditioning, obviously. The adjustment of teachers working year-round, which would be a good thing, I think. It would keep teachers sharp, too, because you wouldn't burn out. You're going to do four days, and you're not going to sit for 2 months, 3 months, and then come back at it. So you would be better at teaching it. I think it would be more consistent.
When transitioning to year-round schooling, there are many factors to consider when identifying short and long-term effects.
Well, I think there'd be a lot of issues. First of all, you'd have to come to some kind of agreement with your teachers' union that they would be willing to do year-round schools, because we have a negotiated agreement right now that we've bargained. And it's important, I think, that we honor it and they honor it. And right now, it has not a limited number, but it has a specified number of school days. So we'd have to have input from the teachers and carrying that out.
Obviously, trying to please everyone. Like I said, some people look forward to that long break. So transitioning, okay, what days would you get off? Once my students, we talked about this in depth one day, and they mentioned having just extended to have 4 days of school, 3-day weekends, and then extend the school year from there. But you're never going to be able to please everyone as far as what days do you get off, when do you get them off, how long do you get them off. Just making plans would be an undertaking. It's doable because some states do it. However, I think we'd have to look at what their success rates are, what have worked for them. It would take some investigation.
Well, that would be, a lot of teachers, and a lot of teachers would be against this, because a lot of teachers work in the summer also. So, so if you have somebody that has a painting business, a lot of teachers paint in the summer, or they do landscaping or something like that. Well, that'd pretty much shoot their second business, So that would be your group that I would say probably no, they wouldn't want that, obviously. And that would probably be about 25 to 30% of the teachers that I know have a summer job. So that'd be a big transition. I think that might be your biggest. I would think parents would be for it, because you would have a year-round, your child is going to school year-round. I don't know one parent that's not happy when summer's over, because they say, oh, good, thank God, these kids are going back to school, they drive me crazy. The biggest adjustment would be for teachers, the year-round, and not so much the year-round, but that group that would lose that summer employment. That would be probably your biggest lobby against it, and the other biggest lobby against it would be your Cedar Points that use students and teachers as summer employees.
Year-round schooling is a widely debated topic. There are many pros and cons to this controversial issue. Now that you know the facts, the future of our educational system is in your hands. Eddie?
Well, I think the only other thing I could add to it is I would not be a proponent of it because my background is in, years ago I was in sports management and leisure services, and I really think that kids and adults alike should have that opportunity to get out and do things other than just education. I value education very highly. I think it's extremely important that we spend time on task and that we, when we are in school, that we're very productive at what we do. But I also think it's important for people to have downtime. And so I think year-round school would be counterproductive.
I can see both sides of this, just like anything else. I guess I'm taking the neutral road here. I think we would benefit from having year-round school. I've seen the benefits of it. The sports curriculum, sports as well as the curriculum would benefit from it, especially here in Northeast Ohio. Baseball season is just atrocious. Softball season is atrocious because we have to start it so soon to end it for the state playoffs. I kind of like the idea of having a 3-day weekend. I don't know if that ever could come to reality, but I can see both sides of it. I enjoy my summers. I'm not going to say that I don't. I like my 3 months to be home with my family and being able to travel, but I also would see the benefits academically, which I think as a teacher is sometimes put on the back burner. So.
I actually sent this to the state 20 years ago as an idea, and of course I never heard back because our state does not move on things that help education. They're anti-education, and they're even more anti-education now. There's a lot of things you could do in education that wouldn't cost a dime and it would improve education tremendously, but they never move on it.